Yeah.
There you go. I'm gonna give this one to my grandmother. My grandmother would say, "I've been your age. You ain't never been mine, right? So you've been my age."
Now I gotta think of one for this show. Thank you, man. I'm gonna come up with something though. I'm gonna come up with
You
something.
got it. You got it. And so,
Let's go, let's go, let's grow, let's grow, let's get it.
what's going on, y'all? Carlos V. Spencer. We're here with Black Dad Unfiltered.
And it's your boy, Coach Rod. We're here to try and change the narrative on Black fathers through authentic conversation, inspiring change, and hopefully impacting families. What we doing today, Los?
Listen, we having a great time, man. We're going to talk about navigating co-parenting, right? We're going to talk about navigating co-parenting, and we're going to talk about that in the space of uh, two parents or having children and maybe not being in the same home. So the parents are not in the same home, not married, not saying that maybe they were married at one point, they're not together at this point. They have children, they're in separate homes. So we're going to have that conversation. I think it's a good one. I think we can dive into. I think a lot of people are dealing with the good and the bad that we're going to go into unfiltered. We're going to have some of the tough conversations about it, draw some of that stuff light, change the narrative as well, but create conversations that other people can dive in. Listen, we always see how we've been doing this in fatherhood, man. How you doing, man? I saw a dope picture, the graduation. I ain't gonna pull you in that direction, but how's
Yeah.
fatherhood, man? Just as a whole, how's it been?
Listen, man, no complaints. No complaints at all. I'm enjoying it. Not to take us off tangent, but speaking about fatherhood, right? You know,
Yeah.
and just seeing what our community's talking about, what people are talking about what we're posting. I found it interesting when I started looking at some of the YouTube comments with the things that we're saying, trying to bring positive change to our community and change the
Mhm.
narrative, because
Mhm.
we're sharing some of these short 30-second clips. The interpretation from people not from our community is swaying towards the negative.
Mm.
And I find that interesting because we just, we started off by saying
Also,
we're trying to change the narrative. So we posted the clip where we had the whole episode. I think it might have been our first episode. I'm not sure which one. And I
okay.
talked about reflection. I was ill equipped to raise a black son, even though I was a black son,
Yeah.
right? That's just authentic, transparent. Love my kid. I'm there with my kid out, in the house. But realizing the complexity of raising a black son in this day and age, you start realizing it's a work in progress. But
Yes.
from that clip, you just hear, well, all you guys, you should just be there. I was like, huh, interesting.
That's it. That's all you gotta do
So
is be there.
yeah, so I was just like, okay, we're ruffling some feathers, right? But this is what we want because it just reminded me that it was necessary. So back
Yes.
to your question though, I'm hyped because my kids are following us on YouTube. My kids
That's
are
dope.
liking us on Instagram. My kids are reposting it and sharing it with their friends. And so for me, it's just like, okay, we're doing what we set out to do. How do you
Mhm.
eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So
That's
I'm
it.
just excited, man. I'm excited.
That's good. Yeah, for me this week in fatherhood, or since the last time we talked, I shared a bit with you offline. Man, I had a beautiful conversation with one of my cousins who's more like an uncle in the family. And so I'm driving kind of by his street, and I just was like, I'm gonna go to his house, like just unannounced. I don't people even really do that no more, right? So I'm just like, I'm gonna go to his house. I just want to go talk with him. Just want to go kick it with him.
Mm-hmm,
And mind you, this is one of my cousins, and I'll even say uncle, just in that space.
mm-hmm,
I think people kind of grasp more of the relationship if I say it that way. This is someone that my brother has leaned on. One of my older brothers has leaned on for a lot of years. And my brothers even said recently with some of the transition I'm going through with the divorce, with the separation, different things he knows that I'm dealing with, which kind of goes to this co-parenting topic for today. And he would say, you need to go talk to this person. You need to go talk
mm-hmm,
to this person, but just reach out to him. And so I reached out to him, went to the house, rang the doorbell, and he didn't answer at first. So I'm like, okay. So I'm walking to my car. I'm like, let me call him. And just called him. And he owns a duplex.
mm-hmm,
And I won't go too far into the story of it, but he owns a duplex and he was just happened to be downstairs. I rang the upstairs bell because he
mm-hmm.
mostly does upstairs. So he just didn't hear the doorbell. So I said, what's going on? He said, where you at? I said, I'm at your door. He said, oh man, hold on a second. He came and let me in We went in the back room. He was listening to records. Man, listen, I'm talking to the vinyl,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was just such a movie nostalgic feeling.
Uh-huh.
And I just opened myself up. I opened
Mm.
myself up to him. Uh, Going to it's very similar to what you opened the show up with, feeling that you weren't equipped, right, to be a to what is it to be a to help a black son, even though you were a black son. Is that what you
Mhm.
said? Am I
Mhm.
messing it up?
So I was ill-equipped to raise a black son, even though I was a black
There you go.
son.
So ill-equipped. So I
Mhm.
just said, listen, man, I'm here. I don't feel like I'm doing this right. I feel like I'm
Mm.
messing this up. I feel like this is going wrong for me. I don't feel like I'm doing this thing right. Just was very vulnerable. Some of the stuff you and I have talked about. It just was a good space for me. And so I began to talk to him, and I'll speed through some of it just for the sake of our show. He began to remind me of things that I did.
Hmm.
He
How
said,
so?
So he said, okay. He let me go off and he let me talk about all the stuff the things I felt like I wasn't doing right. And he said, that's valid. He said, that's valid.
Sure.
That's valid. He said, so you grew up in the projects, right? Yeah. He said, okay, yeah. So you ended up playing football, did very well in high school. Yeah. Hall of Fame. Okay, yeah, right.
Here we go with this Hall of
You
Fame
end up
thing again. Go ahead,
Ah,
man. Go
he said,
ahead, man.
you said how so? You said how so? He said, yeah, you went to college. I said, yeah. He said,
Mhm.
you graduated. I said, yeah. He said, got it. Got your degree. I said, yeah. All right. You were on full scholarship there. I said, yeah. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I understand the marriage in there, but you were in there, 20 or so years. So yeah. I said, okay, gotcha. Your older children, they've graduated already. Yeah, he said, what are they doing? My son's going into college. He's finished up going to be a firefighter. My daughter, she's in military enrolled right now. My other daughter is about to go into the Air Force. He said, gotcha. Good. And you had something to do with that, right? I said, yeah. He said, okay, got it. Good. Yeah, yeah. I said, you were New York State Police. You were a trooper for about 5 or so years. I said, yeah. He said, oh, got it. Got it. Right. So you
Mm.
own the home that was on 30 acres. I said, yeah. He said, okay, okay, okay. He said,
That perspective. He's laying up that perspective for you.
listen, after he said all that, he said to me, you doing all right. He said, nah, it's
Mm.
valid. The stuff you said is valid. And
True.
we'll
True.
work on that stuff. And I'm here for you. And we're
Mm.
going to build on those things. He said, but man, you're doing all right. And it was like my father spoke to me.
Mm.
And we talked about some other things. If it comes up, maybe we'll dedicate a whole episode to it because it just was, I needed it. When I
Yeah.
left, I said within myself, every man needs a father. As soon as I got in
Listen.
the car.
Yeah. It's that different perspective. Almost similar, not similar story, but similar in the fact that it was my father's words, right? When I started having health issues because the grind just got real. And his words meant more to me than almost anybody else's words, even though I
Mhm,
was actually closer with my mother,
mhm.
right? Both my parents are still married, but my mom's, I'm a mama's boy. But his words just hits different, heals different
Yes.
because he is a man and I am a man. And you've been in my position and you've walked in my footsteps and you've known me since I was born. So you've seen all my mishaps. So there's a bit of comfort that comes from your words and a bit of trust that I have in your words, man. That's super dope, man.
Bro,
That's real
and
dope.
I say this too, because Black Dad Unfiltered, it was so good to be able to sit down with a black man. Like it just was a testament to what you said. You know my experiences, right?
Hmm.
You can speak to them.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm gonna give this one to my grandmother. My grandmother would say, I've been your age. You ain't never been mine. Right? So you've been my age.
Now I gotta think of one for the show. Thank you, man. I'm gonna come up with something though. I'm gonna come up with
You
something.
got it. You got it. And so it was healing
Hmm.
to be able to sit down and hear from Black Friday. There's a scripture passage that I love that says, listen to the instructions of a father. And
Yeah.
I like it because that specific one doesn't necessarily say your father, which means that if someone is a father, then there's something that you can extract from them. And for me this week, man, sitting down, just unplanned, uncuffed, went to his house. I'm going back because it was healing, man. It was healing to me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's your tribe. It's your space. You know what I mean? Funny enough, I want to add, not to go off tangent, but
Yeah.
one of the highlights, because especially today, we're going to try and talk about co-parenting, right? We're fresh off of talking about parenting in the house and showing that parenting doesn't necessarily mean you're in line just because you live together, you're married, and you're in the house together.
Yeah.
So me and my children's mother, my son's mother, we had to have a sit down with my son because, there's still paperwork you got to fill out for college, to get ready, to transition, to go over. And when I told you, man, it was probably one of the best parenting experiences I've ever had with her.
That's awesome.
One of the best. And we were together for a long time,
Right.
right? 2 decades. So you got 2 decades together, and now we are, co-parenting. And man, listen, that's probably the highlight because it kind of rejuvenated me. Like, yo, we can do this. We can be
Right.
cool and raise this kid up
Mhm.
and not lose ourselves in the anxiety of us being apart, us figuring
Mhm.
our lives out apart, and still dealing with this young kid. So, definitely, if she's listening, I just want to shout her out because she still is a Black woman and the mother of my children. And I'll always respect her for that.
Man, super dope. Super dope. That's powerful. One of my relatives has children with someone that he's not together with. He's married now,
Mm-hmm.
and they were married together. Marriage, I can say it ended on the best terms. Let's just say it ended in a situation where if they weren't working well as co-parents together, you kind of understand it. You wish for the better. But I've never seen anybody co-parent the way that they do, like on the level. Talk about changing the narrative. Like they're with him one week, they're with her the other week, and they rotate both weeks. Something comes up. Hey, you need to do something? Okay, yep, they can stay with me. Something comes up with the other one. You need to do something? Yep, they can stay with me. They communicate with each other. It's as if, and they probably had this conversation, but I can say from seeing it firsthand, it's as if they made the decision, we're going to do what's best for these
Best for the
children.
children. Yep.
They have 2 children together. We had stuff, whatever beef we had, whatever things went on with each other, we're going to co-parent these children, and we're going to do the best that we can with these children. And to this day, when I see them interact with the children, it's like I'm in awe. I'm truly in awe just seeing it. And like I said, talking about changing the narrative, because you hear the other stories so much, right? You hear the clash, you hear the, oh, she don't let me see the children, you hear the child support, whatever stories you hear. But these stories are so powerful. I want to bring this one up though. I want to talk about
because you start to talk about it offline and
situation.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead with this, man.
Listen,
no, go ahead.
I'm going with it. I'm going with it. I just want to kind of get your opinion on it. I'll leave them nameless, but this was a person that's married, and the woman had children from a previous relationship before they were married. They had children together, but they had some older ones, right?
Yes.
And so when they had family functions like Thanksgiving, the couple who was married, their children together, the other children that she had from another relationship, and the father of those children, and I believe his significant other, would come to the house.
I'm listening.
And
I'm listening.
They all would have dinner together. Now, I even went by myself. You stop by houses, I got something to eat, and I put my boy aside. I said, bruh, you better than me. I just don't know if I could do it. I mean, it was, can I say it was something? It was something to see. I think it's safe for me to say that it was something to see. It was different. This was a Black family too.
Sure.
What you think?
So, all right, 2 parts, right? Because obviously you see all my physical reactions, my visceral reactions. And at first I'm like, yeah, nah, you're not even coming to my house, homie. We ain't doing that. However, if I put on my emotional maturity hat, eventually I'm going to have to deal with this too, right? Because my kid's mother is going to find someone. I will be with someone else. So we're going to have to figure this out. There's going to be a graduation. There's going to be a Christmas. It's going to be something. So I actually commend families that can do it, right? I would want to know what's the secret. How do you get past the initial things like everything I'm experiencing with this woman now, you've already experienced it too. I'm not, not that I have to be first, but you've experienced a lot of this, except for the joy she has. Whoops, sorry about that. The joy she has with me. How do you get past that? But with
Yeah.
that being said, if we can get past that, because like why not? Right? Besides what jealousy, insecurity, is that the reasons why I wouldn't do it? You know what I mean? Is that the reason why I'm not comfortable? I don't know yet. But again, that first shot, it's if I'm not with you, I don't even want to spend these holidays with you. I'll do it for the kids. Now you're telling me I gotta add another person who I don't even want to know to the equation? Oh,
Another
man.
person, we unfiltered, right? You said you don't even own a filter. That's what you said in one of the episodes.
I don't. I don't even know how to spell filter. How you spell that? Talk out loud?
Listen,
I don't know.
so not only you don't know the person, this person's had a relationship with your wife.
I didn't even think about that. I'm thinking ex. Oh my gosh. Holy shoot. Wait a minute. I just realized what you just said. I'm thinking ex-wife. It's hitting me now. Wait a minute. So I'm at the table with my wife, my new wife,
Yes.
right? And so when she says, babe, do you want any bread? Both of us are saying, yes, please.
She better not be saying babe to her ex-husband.
So
she
okay, I
better
see
not
what you're
be.
saying. I see what you're saying. But this goes back to another show we had, right? Choose wisely. Hopefully, you don't have to be in this position. But if we are, I don't know, man. It'd be tough. It'll be so hard for me to embrace it. However, if you,
Is
it's
it
tough,
safe to say
man.
that that's an extreme situation? I don't know. I'm
No, it's
asking.
not. It's not, right?
Okay.
Because the truth of the matter is, it's the mature thing to do, Los. Like, no matter what anybody says, we don't got to beef. Homeboy ain't do nothing to me. They're not together. We don't
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
beef. You know what I mean? And so let's take that off the table, right? But here's where I'm going with this. Because, if you follow social media now, this is the new hot topic, taking care of somebody else's kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if I'm with this woman and she has children and knowing how I'm wired, those children will become my children. In addition
Mm-hmm.
to the children I already came into the marriage with, you know what I mean? Or the new relationship with, whatever dynamic you want to call it. So if I'm bringing them in, I have to bring in their world too, which means I got to bring in their cousins, I got to bring in their friends. And if they have a good relationship with their father, I got to have the door open for them because I'm creating a new house for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Is that making sense? So that's why I sit there and say, yeah, I can be funny. I can be real and raw and be like, yeah, I'm not really trying to see this. But the mature thing is, if I'm making this decision that you're the woman I want to be with,
That's the
right?
part.
And this is your situation you're coming into this with. I have to decide, am I man enough? And really, I'm going to use the words man enough to emotionally and mentally be prepared for what comes with this. You know what I
That's the
mean?
part.
And all that comes with it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But kudos to them, right? Because the kids are happy. Like if you're doing this in the best interest of the kids are happy. Think of like, let's flip it. Imagine if this is you and you're the child and you see mom and dad, they ain't together, but they can be in each other's company. And their significant partners also can be in that company. Does that create a healthier environment for the children to be able to be emotionally stable and
Yeah.
have and don't experience social anxiety, all the things that come with, the continuous or tenuous, sorry, like a living color, the tenuous
Yeah.
dynamic. You know what I'm saying?
So, man, I love what you said there, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier too, the emotional intelligence, and that's one of the things we dealt with. Like Coach Ryder said, you gotta have to go find it. Go find it. Dope episode. Go find it. And while you're on your way to find it, you're gonna find some other great episodes as well. That's emotionally intelligent. It could be easy for me to just jump on the mic here and say, yeah, I could do it. Yeah, I'll be ready for it. Yeah, let's do it. Bro, I don't know. When I sat down with my friend, I said, you better than me. Because of all those things that you said, that's me being honest. Now, someone may be watching this and saying, well, I could do it. Yeah, you should be able to look past this and look past that. That's great. We're here to create all that dialogue. But I'm gonna be honest with you,
Man,
and
listen,
I believe some people listening.
I gotta ask you. I hate to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Why couldn't you do it? Like, what's hanging you up right now? What's the biggest hang up for you? Like, you got a woman and her ex partner beside, you know, is going to be with you and your kids and your shared kids? Like, what's your hang up? What's stopping you?
And that's my insecurity. My insecurity of being at the table with somebody that you've had a relationship with, very intimate, long term. If it was a marriage relationship with something, that's the first thing that I'm going to have to work on to get over, to get by, to get through. I'm gonna have to be completely honest with you. For me, and I believe somebody listening will kind of feel where I'm coming from. For those of you who way past me in this particular area, kudos to you. Help me out. Give me some comments, something in the comments, and let me know what's going on. For me, that's the first thing that shows up is that part. Is that part of okay, you got to get past that to say, hey, let's do
What
this
do you
for the
gotta get
children.
past? Is it the fact that she was in love with him? Is it the fact that she has slept with him? Is it the fact that they have children? Like, what do you really gotta get past if she's not with him no more?
Man,
I hate to grill you, but I gotta ask these
I feel like
questions.
I'm on the couch, man. I feel like
I
I'm on
mean,
the couch. We going through therapy, man. You digging this, you digging up some good stuff. Yeah, it's
no
all
diddy.
the above. It's you've had a relationship, you've had sex with
Mhm.
this person, and you're at my table. This is Black Dad Unfiltered, man. Listen, man, you're at my table in my
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
house.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
That's a lot. Is it
Yeah,
just me? That's a
yeah.
lot,
You
man.
know,
That's a
but
lot.
for me, it's I want that part of your life shut. So I like, you know, I know it's there, but when you're with me, the book has closed.
Yeah.
Right? That's how ideally that's what I want. Book is closed. This right here, we might as well burn it. You'll never see this part of your life again.
Hmm.
So for me to realize that book is still open and just pages still being written in another book apart from the book we're writing together, it's the part that I probably will have the issue with. That this story is not concluded because his presence is still there with us. So you're really, are you living two lives now? You know what I mean? And but this is what comes with, you know, co-parenting, and you know, we're gonna probably have another episode, mixed families. I don't think we have time to dive into it today,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this is really what this is leading towards, is how do you handle this? You know what I mean?
You said something really key. You said something, and it's really key because I've had family members who've had a marriage with someone who had children, and this is this is something that happens pretty often, right? This isn't like a new thing. This
Mm-hmm.
happens. So, I didn't have it in my first marriage. So, but I've had other family members, and they knew that this is what's going to come with this relationship. They knew that. So when you saying that, that key part of, so I know getting into this relationship with this person that I'm choosing who has children from somebody else, that this is something that I'm signing up for, that I'm going to have to deal with, that I'm going to have to make room and make space for. So for me, just like you said, I'm going to have to make that decision, because if I get into a relationship with somebody and they have children, I have children. So regardless, it's gonna be something, right?
Yeah.
If the person does not have children, I have children. So is gonna be something that they're gonna have to enter into with an understanding and a
Mhm,
conscious decision.
mhm.
Yeah,
This is why I said in the beginning, we can have all the initial emotional reactions, that, and we're
yeah,
keeping it unfiltered. So we're not trying to be politically correct,
right.
but because we're also showing people that as Black men, we think through this, right? We give ourselves the space to be like, ah, man, I don't know, but actually start to process. This is where we come to. It's like, listen, somebody's gonna have to deal with it, right? Because once you start having children, and we're talking about us because we each have children, whoever comes with you is gonna have to deal with that, because as long as that mother's alive, she's a part of the equation.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a statement that's gonna kind of be a little tough. It's gonna ruffle some feathers. I'm gonna say it from a man's perspective, and I'm not speaking for all men. I'm not painting that broad brush. When you make that decision, I remember talking to somebody who made that decision to marry someone who had a child before
Mhm,
they met,
mhm,
before they
mhm,
got
mhm.
together. And they said, I am going into this relationship knowing that there's another man who's always going to have access to my wife. And I was like, just a way to look at it, man. And some, yeah, so you may hear that, you could think that's immature. You could put a title
No,
on
but
it.
it's the truth, though. It's
That
immature. It's
you know
immature
it's
not
the
to
truth, and
acknowledge it.
it's not saying that intimately he holds a space. It's not saying that they're still into each other. She has some feelings for him. No. But if you have a child together, this man is always going to have access to you because you have a child together, and there are decisions that you are going to have to make with this child, even when they grow up and become an adult and they have children. You're always going to have access to them. And when he said that to me, I said, wow, it's just something I had never saw because I hadn't dealt with it. I was like,
Mm,
wow, man, that's something
that's deep
to be
right
aware
there.
of. It is. It
It,
is.
it's
It
deep.
is.
I wish you started with that, man. Like now, I'm almost dumbfounded. Like you're right. Like if he texts at 1 o'clock in the morning
Listen.
and says, "Hey, I need to talk to you," you know. But again, but to your point, choose wisely, but
Yes.
also understand who you are in the process.
Yes.
Because I can honestly say, as you get older, as you meet the right person, the perspective shifts. Your perspective is based on your experiences. The way you process is based on your experiences. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And your
Mhm.
perception forms your reality to some extent.
Yeah.
So the more you experience, the more you become aware, your perspective shifts. I may want 5 years from now to be like, hey, come on, XYZ. We're having a barbecue. Bring your, let's make it a big family thing. I may be that guy
Yeah.
3, 5 years from now.
Mhm. Mhm.
7, 8, 9, maybe. My next life, maybe. You know what I'm saying? We'll see.
I almost want to bring up another extreme, but I'm gonna
What's
hold
up?
it. I'm gonna let's get into the meat of it. I think we dealt with enough extremes. This one's even more extreme, so I'll hold on to it unless it comes up.
Sure.
Let's get into the thick of it, man. Navigating co-parenting. You and your significant other, you have children together. You're
Mm-hmm.
not in the same home together, and the child or children is spending time
Mm-hmm.
between the two different parents.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that come up? What are some of the things that we're going to have to deal with? What are some of the things that you need to talk about or be aware of? Or what are some things that are actually going on out there that people maybe aren't having enough conversations about? What comes with navigating co-parenting? And one thing I'll say, and I'll let you take it away, because I think you may mention to this that there are rules that you may have for your child, that when your child is in your presence, they're following these rules. But what happens when the child goes back to the other parent and they're no longer following the rules?
So,
Those
great lead in,
particular
right?
rules.
We'll talk
Mhm.
about. So I'll touch on that first because that
Okay.
my daughter just said it to me yesterday. Because I have this philosophy where I tell my daughters we're gonna understand beauty and modesty. There's gonna come a point you wear whatever you want to wear. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm comfortable with you getting older, and when you get
Mhm.
19, 20, 21, you're gonna do what you do.
Mhm.
But I'm also going to start to try and teach you as young as possible that you can look amazing fully covered up. You
Yes.
get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And because again, I'm a dad. Dads are just a little bit extra, right? So maybe the shorts aren't as short as they look in my eyes, and maybe the skirt isn't as, or maybe the shirt is not as see-through, but to me it is. So my
Mhm.
daughter actually says, "Oh yeah, no, I wasn't gonna wear this with you. I'm gonna wear this when I'm with mom."
Wow.
Right? And
Wow.
let me make sure I'm clear when I say this. The
Okay.
skirt wasn't scandalous. So because
Yeah.
the
Right.
mom also had, but
But
they
it's something as
all
a dad.
know, they
Right.
all know with
Yes.
dad,
Yes.
this is not gonna fly.
Wait.
With
Wait.
mom, this
She
can
she
fly.
didn't just do this. She said this.
Oh yeah, she said
She
it.
said, "Oh, I'm not gonna wear it with you, Dad."
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
But that's my youngest. That's my little, that's my mini me. So
Yes.
she
Yes.
just talks and I encourage it and I don't ever want her to lose her voice. But when
Mhm.
she said that, I said, okay. And that leads me to what we're saying. When you it's important to frame why we're having this conversation,
Mhm.
right? Because we're not trying to feed into the stereotype of broken homes, but we are
Right.
going to talk about the reality that when this
Yes.
happens, men and women, we're still human beings, and we want to create a conversation where hopefully somebody sees what we're thinking and experiencing, so there's empathy that can be built, understanding that can be built, and hopefully positive co-parenting that can be built. So the first thing when you, at least for me, when it was over was figuring out how to make sure it was over. So the first thing is, what's the boundaries,
Okay.
right? Because just because we're not together doesn't mean the flip switches and you don't think you're just gonna call and be like, "Well, I need you to do this." No, 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 no. I ain't
Mm,
here for that no more. You know what I mean? X, Y,
mm,
Z, whatever that case may be. So setting up the boundaries, because with my kid's mom, we're dope. We good. You know what I mean? I'll always say this, and if she's listening or my kids are listening, anybody in the family, I believe this. And even my friends, one of the top 5% women in the world. I believe that wholeheartedly.
mm,
Good person. I believe I'm a good person. We just weren't good for each other.
mm,
And
mhm.
we weren't bad to each other. We just weren't good for each other.
That's a mature
Right?
statement.
Right. And and that's just the truth. But when this happened, is how do we set the boundaries? How do we respect the fact that you do not have the same access to me? Piggyback on what
Mhm,
we said earlier, you have access because we have children. I have to look at a text message. I have to look at an email. When you call, I have to answer because I do not know when it's something serious or something trivial. So, but
mhm.
how do we set the boundaries? And then on top of that, it's the fear sets in. I don't want to mess this up for the kids. So now there's still an identity crisis that's happening. Do
Yeah.
you try to have continuity? Do I try to make sure what you do in your house, I do in my house? You know, we don't talk the same. So for me, it was first understanding that, and then at the end, I was just like, yo, screw this. These are the
Mm,
rules that I have. Because
yeah.
at some point it was you had to juggle co-parenting and you still have to juggle being the father
Yes.
and
Yes.
being, whether it's self what's the word I'm looking for? Whether you're self-titling yourself as the leader, but you still got to lead, right? Especially if
Mhm.
we're looking at this from how we grew up, you still got to lead. So I still got to do things that I think are right, even though I think it's in conflict. So there's a lot. It's layered. I know I didn't
It's
really
layered
answer this, but it's
tremendously.
layered.
So, but like, I wouldn't even say you didn't answer it. We're navigating it. So you're talking about
Yeah.
some of the nuances and some of the different things that come up and the things we have to
Hmm.
deal with. From the thing your daughter said, I'm not gonna wear this with you, Dad. I was wearing this with Mom. Like you said, I'm glad you pointed out. It wasn't like it was scandalous. It's just something that she wouldn't wear with me. My daughter, now mind you, my daughter is this is what I'm talking about. She's 18. Last time we went out together, she had her belly button pierced. All right. And it was
Hmm.
covered. So this is some stuff you got to look forward to. You got when your children get older. She's 18. It was covered up. So at some point,
You see, I ain't
she
smiling. I ain't smiling. I ain't laughing with you.
at
Go
some
ahead.
point I saw it. I don't know how I saw it, but like it wasn't even like she didn't even have a half shirt on. And then she said, "Oh, Dad, you didn't see this before yet, did you?" I said, "How about we cover that back up and not just act like I didn't see that? Let's just just
Hmm.
navigating. Talking about navigating co-parenting. She's older. She's an adult." Considered like by age, she got this done. I'm almost sure her mom knew about it. I did not. We got to navigate that, which leads me
You
to another
see?
space.
No, 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 no. Let's not go there. That's the
Okay.
part that's hard. Is
Okay.
when stuff is happening because you're not there, you
Yeah.
do not know,
Yeah.
right? And so having all this time, having your hands on your children, at least for us who've been there and now we're removed and want to be present in their life, and you're almost again, it's nuance, man. But go ahead. I don't want to cut you off, but that
No,
I
you
don't know is
good.
what I struggle with. Like,
Hmm.
what don't I know? Right? Because I still got to know everything to help you, but
That's right. That's a real point. I
limited
just want to bring
access.
up the other
Hmm.
side of that coin for me. Like you talked about your situation, your how you're navigating your co-parenting. We
Hmm.
don't speak. Yeah. The mother of my children and I, we don't talk.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like the best that we communicate is through email.
Hmm.
So we don't text, we don't talk,
Hmm.
and this is her choice. And mind you, you're hearing my voice, so you're hearing my side of it. I understand that. I'm okay uh, coming to grips with that because you're listening to this, watching this, but we don't speak when you talk about navigating. So our navigating is really different. Navigating this
Hmm.
co-parenting thing, dealing with and speaking to my children being with me when they're with me, and then when they're not with me, they're not with me, and the certain things I'm not finding out, and certain things that I don't know. My situation, I do have older set of children, so some things I'm finding out from my older children, and not their mom. So when it comes to this navigating co-parenting, and I'm in the hopes that it will get better, but man, it's not good. I'm on the other side of that where it's not a situation where we're navigating and it's just like, oh, this is a dope situation, or we're doing this very well. And I'm saying we, because I'm not saying that, oh, she's just not doing well. We're not navigating this well at all.
So let me ask you, how do you think? And the reason I'm asking this is so that those who may not be thinking about it may
Yeah.
start thinking about, how do you think this is impacting your kids, even the older ones? I know you got young ones and you got older ones. So
Yeah.
how do you think it's impacting them? Because whether they're 18, 21, we're still their parents.
Yeah.
I'm still a
Yeah.
baby to my parents and my grandparents.
Yeah, I think it's having I think it's definitely caused some scars, right? It's
Mhm,
definitely caused some hurt. My oldest, my second oldest child, there's a shift in the communication, right? You've picked it up. There's some hurt there for sure. And there's definitely some things that they're dealing with. I do try to make a room for it and have conversations with them about it. How are you all doing? How's your mom doing? I've personally had conversations with my children of, hey, your dad's definitely not perfect. Your dad's definitely made mistakes. And I'm sure moving forward, there's going to be some other mistakes. One of the best things that I try to do is keep that line of communication open so that they can talk about something. I'm sure
mhm,
there are some things that they haven't talked about,
mhm, mhm.
but to the best of my ability, it's not because the room isn't there. It just may not be time yet. So to answer your question, I know it's affecting them. I know it
Mm.
has an effect on them. I know it's some scars. I know some stuff that they're dealing with and some stuff that may not come out until later on in life. But they see it, right?
Yeah.
To answer your question straight on, they see that their parents are not communicating and their parents were together all of their life, you know?
See, that's the tricky part, right? And I'm glad we're talking about this because I want to make a distinction in what you said. We weren't talking about the separation or the divorce. We're talking about they're affected by the co-parenting post that decision,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I don't think people give enough credit to that because you're worried about, I can't speak for everyone, but at least for me growing up, you're thinking about the divorce part, but you don't realize, how do you restore post that, which is the co-parenting piece? Why is it important for us to have a dialogue? You said it, because it creates a space. If we're doing it still in the best interests of the kids, it's creating a space for them to heal. So that's where we go back to what we talked about earlier. On a mature level, if I'm doing what's best for the kids, everybody can come in as long as everybody has the right attitude. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
it creates a space for the kids. One of the things that I was reading, preparing for the show, was the impact, right, that kids go through
Mm,
when it's a hostile co-parenting environment, right?
mm,
The academic struggles. Actually, I wrote it down, so I want to make sure. There's the psychological effects, the behavioral problems, the academic challenges, the social difficulties, right? Which means they have difficulties trusting others. They develop poor social skills. Why? Because the kids model still, and they're looking at how we talk, and is there space for them to suss out their emotions? It leads to health issues in children from the
mm,
high stress and anxiety, the
mhm,
inconsistency, the lack of
mhm.
normalcy. Uh, and then there's long-term consequences, right? Which means their future relationships. Part of the reasons when we did this show, and I told you the reason I'm excited about us getting together and doing this, it's because for me, selfishly, I want us men to heal, right? Whether you hurt or not, we have gone through some stuff being men in the United States of America, growing up trying to become men in the United States of
Yeah.
America. And you've heard the term generational curses.
Mhm.
One of the things I try to tell my son, everything I'm doing for you so you have a healthy relationship. I don't care as much about your grades as I do about your ability to emotionally understand what you feel so that
Mhm.
you can have a relationship, whether it's with your partner, your children, or professionally, that is healthy to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's why I asked you that question. And hopefully somebody, whoever's listening to this, is picking up on that. It's like, okay, if you
Yeah.
don't want to have the good relationship with your kid's mom, if you can try, right? Vice
So
versa,
yeah,
if you're a woman listening. Go ahead, Los.
yeah, and you pulled right on the point where I was going to pull. So
Mm-hmm.
so what I hear you saying is one, I think we're both saying that you can't say it's going to be a perfect situation, right? You can do
Agreed.
everything that you can do, and there's going to be some things. One of my friends says this statement, and this is as unfiltered as you can get, not as you can get, but this is an unfiltered statement, right? You raise your children, they're going to grow up to become adults, and they're going to find something wrong with the way that you did, with the way
Of
that you
course.
parented. They're going to
Yeah.
find something. So, with that being known, what I hear you saying is the things that can happen and the things that are affected, right? How our children are affected by co-parenting or the lack thereof. It's worth doing the work and doing the best that you can to make this the best possible situation when it comes to navigating co-parenting, because there's a lot on the line for your children. There's a lot on the line for your children. With some of the
A-
things that you just read, which I
Mhm.
know there's even more, there's a lot on the line.
Not only just for children, even for yourself. Because
Mhm.
remember, I again, there was a show where you were vulnerable, and you said it's the hardest thing you've ever been through, being away from your kids.
Yes.
So think about not only what's in the best interest of the kids, but for yourself, right?
Mhm.
So that you can keep your mental faculties, your physical health, because it impacts you as well.
Mhm.
So again, I know we're speaking to some of the challenges of the co-parenting, but there's again some of the things that have come out of the co-parenting, at least in my dynamic.
Mhm.
We probably parent better now together
Wow. I hear where you're going.
because giving ourselves space to heal, because it's hard to heal when you're in the relationship, when the relationship itself is the one that's causing you the pain.
Mm,
You get what I'm saying?
that's a statement.
So by us removing ourselves because we weren't good for each other, and that just built over time. Two good people, I will always tell anybody who knows me, they can comment. If you know me, comment and say, yeah, this is Rod's telling the truth. Kid's mom is an amazing woman. We just weren't good for each other, right?
Mhm.
But because we were hurting in it, you know, I mean, you couldn't see it. You couldn't see the forest from the trees.
Yes.
So the minute we went our separate ways and started focusing on healing, we were very intentional on figuring out, how are we going to do this? How are we going to stop the bleeding, right? And repair whatever we can repair that's necessary for these kids,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And my kids are chilling right now. Again, I don't know if they're completely okay. We talk, to your point, give space, give room, but the kids are like, hey mom, if they call their mom, I don't get upset. So go ahead. Right? Oh, can we stop by? I gotta get something. And we've created this space where, okay, we have our boundaries, but there's still some fluidity so
Yeah.
that the kids can still enjoy both their parents. Um, and I'll say this, one of the things that we did is we went to therapy after the fact to
Mhm.
still work on a relationship so that we can parent.
Gotcha. That's
Right? I
smart.
just want to throw that out there because part of this is, what are you going to do to
Yes.
build that healthy dynamic?
Yeah. Like I said, this is layered. This has been a great talk, man. Navigating co-parenting. I believe it. We're going to help some people. I believe we're going to cause some conversations. I've been helped. I've learned some things. And even I'm gonna circle back and listen to this, watch some of this again, just to see how I can be better, right, for my children and for my sake, just like you pointed out. So it's never going to be a perfect situation, right? There's no blueprint for this. There's no blueprint for a relationship, for marriage. There's no perfect blueprint for navigating co-parenting, but we can work at it because it's not going to happen by itself. I think it's safe to say it's not going to just happen. And I believe it's also safe to say that you can have a good situation. You can have a
Yeah.
good co-parenting situation, even though that may not be the situation you want to be in, or maybe it is a situation you chose to be in. You can still have a good one with work. I've seen it. I hear it from you. I hear you talking
Mhm.
about your own example. I've seen it firsthand where it can actually be done. And when I saw it, for me, we talk about somebody who I don't have what's it? No leg in this race. I got nothing. I'm no
Mhm.
part of this thing at all.
Mhm.
I'm seeing it and it's blessing me, right? I'm seeing it. It's
Mm.
having an effect on me. I'm like, wow, look at the way that they're co-parenting. So I know the children and the parents are being affected by it because I'm just a bystander. And it's
Oh,
affecting me as
wow.
well. Yeah, yeah, man. Navigating co-parenting. This has been dope. This has been good, man. So listen, I'm Carlos V. Spencer. If you are watching or listening in, please continue to listen in and download, subscribe, like, share this with somebody. If you were watching this and you said, man, this is good, this person that came to your mind, this really would help them, share it with them. And don't just have the thought of it helping them, push it out to them so it would be a help for them as well. Again, I'm Carlos V. Spencer. We're Black Dad Unfiltered.
Los, I hate to do this to you, man, but you need to tell them where they can find us. Tell them where they can find us, Los.
You
Where
know, they can find us on YouTube. They can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Instagram. It's TikTok as well. LinkedIn. What am I leaving out?
Spotify, Our Heart, Amazon, we're
Yes,
everywhere. The
everywhere.
handle at Black Dad Unfiltered.
Yeah,
That's
I'm good.
Carlos V. Spencer. I'm
Yes,
Coach
yes.
Rod. We're changing the narrative through authentic conversation, inspiring change, hoping to impact families. Join our community. Let's go. Let's grow. Let's get it.
Y'all be blessed.